3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Texas Private School Podcast. As always, I am one-third of your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson. Joined with me today is Walker Lott and Ryan Schroeder, who joined me from College Station and Stillwater, Oklahoma, respectively. And guys, normally I'd ask how you're doing and stuff, but we really have to address our pick records because after 2 weeks, it is bad. I mean, I think Walker, you can throw that meme on the screen now, but I made a meme this past weekend kind of addressing the state of our pick records, and just there have been about 2 trillion upsets that have happened in the past week or the past 2 weeks, and it's kind of just decimated our picks. So overall, Ryan currently leads us. He is 18-15. Walker comes in second at 17-16. I'm coming in third with 16-17. Yes, Ryan, we see the trophy. You're not going to be hanging on to it. I was in first for a while, but a 6-11 week last week just kind of absolutely tanked me. So, Walker, Ryan, you were the king of the pick record. I'll turn to you first. We're through 2 weeks. We're all pretty close to each other, but these are not the records we usually expect. What do you have to comment on that?
Yeah, honestly, I would love to just go crazy and be like, I'm doing the best. But in all reality, this is not a good representation of, how I normally pick and how we normally pick. But yeah, lots of upsets these past couple of weeks. Lots of teams I've been relying on that have let me down, and some teams that, I'm glad I rode with Regents this past week. That's all I gotta say. I'm glad I rode with Regents because I would have been so upset if I would have lost to them 2 weeks in a row. So yeah, we'll see how it keeps going. I'm not going to get too cocky yet. We're only 2 weeks in.
Yeah, no, if Regents would have lost, I think that would have been the effective end of this show. It would have just completely ruined everything we've ever done. But Walker, I mean, I'll ask you the same question. Through 2 weeks, not great records. Your comments on that?
All right, put your hand up if you have a positive pick record.
Oh,
I don't see what the point of that was, but
I just wanted to say
wow.
that.
Wasn't very nice. I haven't done anything to you.
No, I apologize. It's all the banter, as they say, over the pond, as they say.
What?
Over the
I
pond.
don't think anyone
no,
says
no,
that.
no, yeah, across the pond over
Across
in the UK or whatever.
They say
Yeah.
banter.
God, y'all are killing me.
No,
Just the absolute
I got
butchering
it.
of these
No,
phrases.
Walker, I got you.
Thank
I got
you,
you.
thank you. Over across the pond, they say banter. God, I'm
Under a rock, over the pond. What are we doing?
It's not even midnight this time. It's 8:30.
No, it's not. Okay, your thoughts on the pick record?
Could be better. We're still, last year we go 11-3 or 12-4. This is a lot. We still don't really know the slate just yet. So hopefully as the weeks get on, we get better, but man, it is bad right now.
Yeah, I think once we get into district, it's going to calm down a little bit. We'll know these teams a little bit better. There are going to be a lot more common opponents we can go off of. And I'll say, even compared to last year at the beginning of the year, I was picking based off of name value and team mascots. I really didn't know anything to start last year. This year, I feel like I actually knew some stuff, and it just didn't even matter at the end of the day. I mean, we're getting decimated. But, I think it'll even out come district, and our records might not be on par with last year. Ryan, I don't think you're hitting your 160 win goal, but I think we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Still a lot of time left. I could get some 16-0 weeks here and there. 17-0 weeks here and there. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up.
That's a good point. I still don't think you ever had that one undefeated week last year, but we'll just move on past that. Moving on to our players of the week, the Texas Private School Podcast players of the week. We will start on offense in a ridiculous stat line. Hunter McCoy from Weatherford Christian goes 16 for 20 passing, 309 yards, 5 touchdowns. Rushing, he had 5 carries, 86 yards, and 2 more touchdowns. That is 7 touchdowns total for those who are challenged at math, in a 76-21 win against New Braunfels Christian. I mean, we were talking about this before we started trying to pick who was going to get this. We came across this stat line. There wasn't really a whole lot of debate after that. Walker, 7 touchdowns. That is almost 400 all-purpose yards. I mean, what do you think about Hunter McCoy just going crazy for Weatherford Christian?
Yeah, the Weatherford Christian looks really, really good this year in TAPS D4. And I think him at the helm as only a 24, so he's going to be a junior this year. I mean, they have a bright, bright future ahead for sure. And I remember watching him, Wes, at 7-on-7 over the summer, and I was like, this guy he can throw the ball, and he's accurate with it. He's just a really good decision maker as well. And yeah, I was coming into this year being like, all right, him at the quarterback helm with all those weapons, with Braden Bork, who also had a really good week. So shout out to him. But I mean, yeah, Hunter McCoy is the real deal there in TAPS D4 at Weatherford Christian. So I'm excited to see him progress. And yeah, they completely dominated New Braunfels Christian this week.
Absolutely. Ryan, Hunter McCoy, crazy stat line for Weatherford Christian. Your thoughts on our Texas Prep School podcast offensive player of the week?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to follow Walker here. Great week by Hunter McCoy. I mean, he went out there and did that. Shout out to his number one wide receiver this week and the man himself, Braden Bork, who did some stuff as well. I mean, Hunter McCoy just showing that, Weatherford Christian's on the hunt this year. And I think that they're showing that, when they put up 60, 70 points on anybody, that they're out there to kill. So Weatherford Christian, man, we'll see what they're doing.
I still fondly remember the times I was watching Weatherford Christian my senior year of high school in 2018 as a 6-man team, just absolutely obliterating other 6-man teams. And now they're 11-man, obliterating other 11-man teams. So, things change, but do they really at the end of the day? But congratulations, Hunter McCoy, for being our Texas Private School Podcast Offensive Player of the Week. Now, for the Texas Private School Podcast Defensive Player of the Week, we selected Jacob Wilburn, 2024 linebacker for Austin Regents, who had 14.5 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 2 pass breakups, and a 37-14 win over Midland Christian. That is a long stat line, folks. I mean, Walker, we were talking earlier. I mean, we said Wilburn wasn't he playing like a DB role in previous years, or did we?
Yeah, I mean, he was all state as DB last year, and then comes I think he was like one of the only sophomores in TAPS D2 on the all state list, and he was one of them. And I guess because he's 6'2", looks the part, and I mean, just I watched that tape, and it was very, very impressive. He just reads his reads the pulls right, reads his gap, finds where he needs to play, and he just makes attacks. Very, very impressive. I couldn't say much more because the stats and the play show for themselves, and you'll see it on screen of just how much he was just so efficient in his game. And it was really, really fun to watch. And that, with him at the linebacking position, they're not going to have to worry probably in that front 7 with him there.
No, just a fantastic job by someone who is transitioning to linebacker this year. Ryan, your thoughts on Jacob Wilburn, an excellent stat line last week.
I mean, that's amazing. That's so incredible. Gosh, I see some of these stat lines and stuff like that, and I kind of think to myself, like, is that even real? But yeah, Wilburn, man, that's insane. I had 3 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. On top of that, with your 14.5 tackles, in the 2 pass break, I'm just saying, some of these guys out here are doing stuff that, if I ever played high school football, which I'm the one guy on this podcast that never did, I'm telling you right now, I would not even be even close to that on the defensive side. I mean, that's nuts out of the Austin Regents guy. We'll see how Austin Regents fares the rest of this year, but right now with a guy like Jacob Wilburn on that defense, man, be scared, y'all. Be scared of Austin Regents. I have to side with him now after all the different things I've gone through with them. I have to, support them like I've been there the entire time.
Yeah, we can just jump on the bandwagon now. I'm fine with that. But
right.
Congratulations to Jacob Wilburn for winning the Texas Private School Podcast Defensive Player of the Week. Before we transition to talking about some of last week's games, Ryan, what is on your head?
So I went to Arkansas this weekend, and I feel like I'm only going to be able to wear this hat for another week, and then I'm going to kind of get sick of it. So I thought I'd just put it on for the podcast. Is that not allowed?
Let's do it together,
That's
guys.
disgusting.
One second. We need to call those.
No,
hogs. We're calling the hogs.
Oh, I refuse.
Big Suey. Let's go again. Big Suey. Razorbacks.
I want to crawl out of my skin.
No. We have to have some Arkansas fans that listen to this podcast. I have to believe that.
I just,
I
We
only
show
I
I
just
only
don't
know
like
that.
Arkansas at all.
Well, there are good rivals, the Southwest Classic with their West, but I know that deeply well because our coach, before practices at times at like the six in the morning practices, he would make us call the Hogs to get us awake when we're doing warm-ups and stuff. So I know a lot about calling those Hogs. He played at Arkansas, if that makes
call,
sense.
call the
That is
Eagles,
that
man.
is
Call the
vile.
Southwest Christian Eagles. Oh, Eagles.
I don't think that works quite as well, even though calling the Hogs doesn't really work at all. I think it's a terrible tradition. I just really, really don't like Arkansas, and I'm terrified they're going to beat us this year, but that's beside the point. Anyway, moving on to talking about some of last week's matchups. Well, we'll talk about all our 5 games of the week in detail. However, just looking at some other stuff, Prestonwood beating Second Baptist surprised me a little bit. I was getting updated on that game as I was at the Fort Bend DC game. I think I picked Second Baptist. I'm sure that I was wrong. I mean, anything I picked ended up being wrong, so I'm sure I ended up picking Second Baptist.
Yeah.
But yeah, Prestonwood hung on to win there. ESD beat Liberty Christian.
I mean,
Christian smacked
the ESD Liberty Christian game. That's a close game too. And I mean, ESD looks really, really good this year, but Liberty hung with it the entire time, I guess, and just came up a little bit short. But yeah, very interesting game.
Yeah, Fort Worth Christian smacked Dunn around, which I think I picked Dunn there, which of course. But yeah, no, I mean, nothing in this Division II really makes sense at all to me right now. It's just kind of crazy town. All Saints beat TC Addison. I was on the wrong side of that as well. Grapevine Faith destroyed TWCA, which Division II, District 2 is going to be interesting. Me and Ryan keep saying that. I think it's going to surprise some people. Shiner St. Paul beating San Antonio TMI by 3 points, 38-35. That was huge. Me and Walker were on the phone when we figured that out. We just went crazy.
Yep.
Corium Deo destroying Green Hill, another representative of Division II, District 2. Walker, I'm going to have to make you answer for Grace Prep beating Southwest Christian 33-28.
I was at another game and I kind of was watching it, and it was penalties, mistakes, and Jalen Talton. I mean, that's basically how I would describe it. Their defense held their like wing T / now a little bit new pistol offense a little bit now really well, and they held Southwest Christian to only 28, and it was basically to where they scored like in probably 4 minutes left. SES did. Grace Prep with Jalen Talton. Like, Jalen Talton is a dog, man, and we need to talk about him more because there were so many times I was like trying to watch it on my phone while the other game was going, and it was like they would almost get to him, and then he would just make something happen, do kind of that Johnny Manziel-esque of just escaping the pocket, running, trying to make something happen. And Caleb Mathis was down there somewhere, and he would always find the way. Like Caleb Mathis had 234 yards receiving, and Jalen Talton had 312 yards passing. It was just very, very impressive week. I don't think SCS I think SCS should have won that game. So I don't think it's an upset without a doubt. But SCS needs to fix, their defense for sure. Can't let a guy scramble like that. And they also need to fix just the minor mistakes like penalties and just stuff like that. They're on the way, but yeah. Insane win. Hats off. Tip my cap to Grace Prep. You upsetted them. Fair play. But yeah.
Yeah. No, just rounding out the rest of the games. First Baptist destroys McKinney Christian. I was on the wrong side of that as well. But Grace Community absolutely murks Wills Point, which makes me happy. Grace actually looks like they're moving in the right direction. And then Austin Savio destroys Bishop Gorman. That's not really relevant to what we do here, but I just kind of it's old Tyler rivalries that I have to expose. Although, yeah, there's not really anything else to say there.
Cistercian beating St. Mark's 3A SBC 3A beating SBC 4A is also very impressive.
That was big. I mean, Coach Burke has a tremendous program down there with Cistercian. I played them in high school. I mean, they're very, very well coached. So I have to tip my cap to them. That was very solid. But I mean, do either of y'all have anything else to say about?
Yeah, I want to bring up that Lake Country John Paul game. Are you kidding me? That's a TAPS Division III team beating a TAPS Division I team. I mean,
yeah.
Or I guess John Paul's not in Division I this year. Isn't that the whole debate as well?
Technically, I mean, for all practical purposes, their athletics are in. I mean, the highest classification of TAPS, but they're independent this year, I think.
Okay. I didn't know if I knew that fully. So, but still impressive. 49-14. That's super impressive out of Lake Country. I know I know they have a lot going on that offense. I think they're having different guys play different positions on offense every week. But yeah, I got to shout out. What's his name?
The Doddards.
Yeah. Kevin Doddard. Dude, that's crazy. His week this week as well was nuts. I don't remember the stat line fully, but yeah, Kevin Doddard, man, Lake Country, good win.
Yeah, no, I mean, fantastic on their part. But now, with all that said, we will move into our detailed analysis of the 5 games of the week that we chose last week, beginning with Parish versus Episcopal Bel Air. This was a 24-17 win for Parish Episcopal. Senior running back Cedric Mays leads the Panthers offensively with 170 on the ground and over 200 all-purpose yards as Parish avoids the upset from Episcopal. Senior linebacker Cooper Mayland had a monster effort as well with 12 tackles and 3 TFLs to keep Episcopal's offense under 20 points. Looking at Episcopal, junior star quarterback Carson Gordon had a solid contest, throwing for 220, 1 touchdown, and no turnovers against the best defense unequivocally in private school. His favorite target was senior Lane Linebarger, who went for 150 yards receiving and both touchdowns. So, guys, I think this game was a little bit closer than we thought it was going to be, although we've been saying forever that Episcopal has it this year. You know, I saw some guys on the story that I posted saying that it rained at Parish all week. They couldn't practice that much. The field was dirty. I mean, at the end of the day, both teams have to play under those conditions. So I think Bel Air really is just, I mean, a lot better than people expected this year. Walker, what are your thoughts on the close game between Parish and Episcopal?
I mean, I guess we got Bel Air being our second private school in the rankings correct. That's might have been the only other one that we got correct besides Parish.
It's the only thing we got right.
Right, absolutely. So hats off to us. We do something right. We know stuff. Yeah.
Every now and then.
Every now and then. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I have to tip my hat to whatever. Tip my cap. Is that no, that's not the right thing. I have to give my props to Bel Air Episcopal in their defense. Holding that offense to 24 points is very, very impressive. You know, I watched this actually matchup last year, Bel Air versus Parish on a Saturday, and I was like, or no, on a Friday maybe, I don't remember. But I watched it and I was like, this defense for Bel Air, I mean, it's Andrew Paul was there, so it was still him being dominant, but like they held their own most of that night. And I was like, I came away being like, all right, no matter what, their offense needs some works, and they brought in, you know, Carson Gordon to help that this year. But their defense is going to always come ready to play. It's really well coached. And you saw that with only keeping them really close this entire game. So, I mean, hats off to Bel Air for that. And, you know, you're going to expect that defense to hold solid for most of these weeks coming up. But yeah, I mean, Parish is, you know, Parish. They just found the little mistakes that probably Bel Air made, and they exploited them and, you know, came out with the W.
Yeah, without a doubt. Ryan, your thoughts on the 1-score game between Parish and Episcopal?
I mean, that's super impressive. Super impressive from Episcopal. A team like Aledo couldn't even do that with Parish and stuff like that. So it makes you wonder, you know, Episcopal really is super talented this year if Aledo is, you know, playing worse against Parish than they did. But yeah, shout out to I just have to give props to Episcopal. Like you have to give, like, you know, it's a loss by 7, but people don't realize that this Parish team, you know, will never be touched. This is the closest game they'll have all year this season, unless you're talking about one of these UIL teams that they're playing the next couple of weeks. But like, no private school team will ever touch them. Like, will we ever be any closer than Episcopal this past week? So, yeah, and I have to say, you know, shout out to the defense for holding Parish, but shout out to the offense for putting up 17 points on Parish as well. Like, you know, it's impressive both ways, because that means you had to get in the end zone twice. You know, you had to make your drives down the field. I'm telling you right now, this EHS team is super impressive. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do the rest of this year as well.
Yeah, putting up 17 in a game where there was no garbage time. So none of those 17 points were garbage time points. It is very impressive. Ryan, I can just see it happening now. Somehow, some way, if some team clips Parish somewhere, that clip you just said is going to get clipped out where you say no private
I'm okay.
team's going to I don't think it's gonna happen,
No,
but I can just see it in the future.
I'm good with I'll live with that. I will live with that. I'm so okay with living with that because I just know that it will not happen.
It's a very safe bet to make. But that go on, Walker.
I want to say this because we're not going to talk about their game today because it's not one of our games of the week. But facing Austin LBJ this week is going to be a very, very big task. They have a lot of good players on LBJ, so it's going to be it's another one of that just tough non-district schedule they're going to have to face. And LBJ is full of talented recruits like Andrew Mubuka's younger brother that plays for Clemson that is playing right now. They got guys over there at LBJ, so it's going to be fun to watch that game too. It's another game where they're going to have to come ready to play against another elite 4A school in Austin LBJ.
So, yeah, I mean, very impressive effort by Episcopal and credit to Parish for holding off that upset attack. Moving into the game that I actually covered last week, that was Fort Bend Christian at Dallas Christian, and DC wins 32-28. And I'll say here what I say when I was cornered by DC students who attempted to expose me for a TikTok. I pick Fort Bend Christian every time because whenever I do that, Dallas Christian ends up winning. It was a galaxy brain move on my part, and I just have to give myself credit. And DC fans should also give me credit because I reverse jinxed you. In all seriousness, this game was incredible, and it proves that DC isn't going anywhere. The backfield combo of sophomore Luke Carney and senior Zach Hernandez, who apparently is a TikTok star after I did a little bit of digging. I spent a little bit longer on TikTok than I should have after the game, but Carney had, that backfield's elite. Carney had over 200 rushing yards on 25 attempts, and Hernandez went for 4 touchdowns. Will Nettles was also impressive on both sides. The junior DB athlete that have been playing receiver now, I mean, he was very impressive. And guys like defensive lineman Philip Bazemore, offensive lineman Cole Burke, offensive lineman Porter Nix, and Devontae Dump Truck High also did an excellent job against a much bigger Fort Bend Christian front. As for Fort Bend, Dever, Gardoni, Domino, Granville, all and others, they all looked solid despite the loss. And I think they're still going to be a force in Division II. And guys, I'll actually just raise you this instead of commentary on the game. Can DC beat anyone in Division II, Walker?
Anyone in D2?
Yeah, anyone in D2.
I mean, maybe.
I'll say this. I say they have the potential to beat anyone in Division II. I think they could go out and on any given day they could beat anyone in D2.
I mean, okay, the top 5, right? You would have
no, because if you say this, all these teams are immediately going to lose. If we make a top 5, they're all going to lose. Okay, just go ahead and do it.
The normal powers of TAPS D2, right? Could they beat in Midland? Maybe. Regents, probably.
Grace Community, yeah.
They beat Southwest Christian last year.
They beat
Southwest Christian last year. I mean, Grapevine Faith, they probably could beat. Fort Worth All Saints, I think they maybe scrimmaged them. I don't know. But, I mean, those are teams that, 11 on 11, Wes. I mean, you could argue for sure.
I think they could.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah, put Carney and, Zach Hernandez against another D2 team and stuff like that. It's I don't know. I feel like they're so strong, the two of them together, along with the defense. I don't know, man. I think you have a really, really strong. That's a really strong case that you could say. You could make a really strong case that DC could beat just about anybody in D2. But yeah, I mean, I picked Fort Bend. I'm not gonna stand down against it. It was a pick that I had to make because Fort Bend got me the week before, I think, or whatever it was. But I think Fort Bend is still a very talented team. A non-district loss to DC is not going to hurt you. It's just literally just a non-district game at this point. So DC's not even you're not even going to see DC for the rest of the year because they're in Division III and you're in Division II. So I don't know. It's just honestly a really impressive win from DC, and I know you saw it in person, Wes, and so I'm not going to make any more comments because I mean you kind of summed it up pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, one thing that really blew me away and something I didn't realize as much last year, Carney can run, man. Luke Carney has wheels. I mean, 200 rushing yards on very good Fort Bend defense. I mean, that kid can run. I mean, he proves that he's a Division I talent for a reason. I'm really excited to watch him progress. The kid's only a sophomore. I mean, I can't wait to see him, in a year, 2 years when he's an upperclassman, let alone, I mean, I'm just very excited to see how Kearney progresses and just what his potential can be. But that's all we're going to talk about. Fort Bend, DC, two very good teams moving forward. I'm excited to see what happens to them. Moving into another game that we kind of risked it all on was Midland versus Austin Regents. The game ended in a 34-27 win for Regents. I'd like to take a moment to thank Austin Regents, because if we would have all been on the wrong side of this, we would have gotten destroyed on Twitter. And like I said previously, it would have been the end of the podcast. We just would have finished. Regents actually went up 21-0 at the half as senior athlete Jackson Smith went for 2 touchdowns. One of them was thrown by freshman quarterback sensation Quinn Murphy. There was some back and forth after that in the second half, but Mustang mistakes ultimately led to touchdowns from Murphy and Carter Smith, which effectively iced the game. Guys, you can answer, or you can add anything more you want to this. I have another question that I want to pose at the end of this. Is Regents the new favorite in Division II after Fort Bend falls Friday? Walker?
No. Maybe.
So is Fort Bend then?
Hey, we still got the whole entire north up there too.
Yeah, I would still maybe it's the Fort Worth in me, but I still think I got Fort Worth All Saints in it. I think All Saints, I mean, I think they have the dogs.
Actually, yeah. Yeah, I think we overreacted to that Nolan loss a little bit.
I mean, All Saints, you have All Saints, Regents, Fort Bend, Second Baptist doesn't look terrible, and SES loss. I mean, and Liberty looks good. You still have a lot of teams. The favorites, I think, are still Fort Worth All Saints. They have too much firepower and too much talent to not be considered. So, but I mean, Regents is making a name for themselves for sure.
That is true. Ryan, you were shaking your head.
I don't know. I just don't think it's Austin Regents, and maybe I kept saying I'm like a big Austin Regents fan, but like
I was about to say,
I don't know. I'm going back and forth on myself. I want to look up Fort Worth All Saints because, like, you only won by 3 against TCA. Now they play the Oklahoma team of Holland Hall. Holland Hall's 0-2 this year, but we'll see if they even do anything against them. Holland Hall is also now SBC for anyone that's wondering. Holland Hall joined the other Oklahoma City team in the SBC for whatever. I don't know if anybody
Cassidy
knows. Yes. There's now 2 Oklahoma teams playing in the SPC. So that's kind of interesting. But Holland Hall this year against All Saints, I don't know. I think All Saints can win this week, but it's really interesting to see. They play a Pennsylvania team on the schedule in a couple of weeks and stuff like that, and it looks like they're going to Pennsylvania. So that's interesting. I don't know. All I gotta say is I want to see what All Saints can do in these because how they play against Prestonwood and how they play against this Pennsylvania team is going to be interesting before I can go super ride high on the All Saints. So for now, I won't say the All Saints is the best team in D2, and I won't say that Regents is the best team in D2. I have to say that it's still up for debate, and I don't want to make that decision yet either, because I feel like we already have the winners for, I hate to say it, I feel like we have the winners for 3 out of the 4 divisions this year. So in taps. So I'm not gonna. I like that we still have a battle for D2. I think that's important.
Yeah, no, I wanted to create some conversation and just kind of gauge where we were at as of now. That's kind of our job, is to overreact to things and come up with hot takes. So I thought that would be an interesting question to start. But yeah, there's a lot of season left. I mean, it'll be intriguing to see where Regents goes from here. But moving into our second to last game, Cypress Christian versus John Cooper. It was a 38-14 win by John Cooper. Yet another game I was on the wrong end of. John Cooper gets back into the swing of things as senior quarterback Vaughn McKeever accounts for 240 yards of offense and 3 Dragon touchdowns. He threw touchdowns to Gus Feinberg, who had a You've Been Mossed catch at the back of the end zone for a touchdown, as well as Owen Badsgard. I think he had 7 tackles on defense and an 80-yard rushing touchdown. Jackson Todd, the nose guard, Carson Berger, the linebacker, and Justin Kelly, a safety, also all were big contributors for the Dragons as they get back on the right track while beating Cypress Christian here. So Walker, we all kind of actually who did you pick in this game?
I picked the John Cooper Dragons. I was the only one. Go me. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dragons.
Well, I was going to say we all drastically overreacted to week 1, but clearly you didn't. So what did you see in the Dragons, and what do you think about them getting it done here?
I mean, I trusted in Von McKeever in that offense, man. And Dean Calhoun is a dog, bro. Don't get it twisted. He's a really good athlete, and he's going to be one to watch in the 25 class. But yeah, I mean, I think Cypress they lost a lot in that senior class. I don't think they're probably the favorites in D3 in the South, but still, I mean, Max Landrum can't do everything by himself. That he needs some other guys to help him out. And I think the defense will be probably there a little bit, but I mean, there needs some firepower on offense, and I'm excited to see who's going to step up later in district play for Cypress.
Yeah, no, I agree. Ryan, your thoughts on Cypress Christian following to John Cooper?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. SBC 3A, that's a really, really good win for SBC 3A. It's kind of, I feel like SBC 3A is kind of equal to the Division 3 taps in my mind. I feel like that's right where I sit them a little bit. And I think that's you kind of just had the defending state champions play each other in this past week. So I like that. I like that we had this game go on this week, and I like that John Cooper, give the props to the SBC 3A team. So great week out of Von McKeever. You wouldn't expect any less from him. But yeah, I was wrong, man. I was wrong. I really had faith in Cypress Christian, but season's not over for Cypress Christian, and I'm excited to see if John Cooper can pose another threat to be the SBC 3A champions.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a great chance too, and they proved it this week by beating the defending D3 state champions pretty badly. So congratulations to Von McKeever and company and the John Cooper Dragons. Moving into the last game we have to recap, it is Lutheran South versus St. Michael's Christian Academy, with one of the only games this week I was right on. Lutheran South wins 25-15. Junior Wesley Willingham, great name, leads the Pioneers on the ground with 90 yards rushing, while a dual quarterback effort from freshman Marcus Cantu and sophomore John LeBlanc combined for 3 touchdowns to Jalen Lowry and Trey Bauman. Carson Kruger also had a solid game for St. Michael's, throwing for 230 and 2 touchdowns, with touchdowns to Lawson Watkins and Jackson Radke. So, Walker, we were talking on the way, well, I was on the way to Dallas. I think I was driving to Caldwell or something. We were talking about St. Michael's with all the injuries, and do we think Lutheran South gets it done here? And ultimately, I decided that I think Lutheran South gets it done. I think you said that I think you picked St. Michael's in this game, did you not?
I did. I just didn't think, it could happen again, but it did.
I mean, what are your thoughts on your pick and the game that resulted from that?
I mean, it hurts for St. Michael's. I mean, but it sucks. But part of the game of football, man, is you got to stay healthy. And the injury, I guess I don't know, the injury bug has to be on your side, and you got to stay healthy. And that's, some of the best teams out there always get hurt, and you always have the questions of, what if? And I mean, I think, when they get their guys later in district, then you can have a whole conversation of, all right, it's St. Mike, because you also think this. I mean, if St. Michael's gets all their guys back week 8, right? They get 3 weeks with those guys. Those guys are going to be fresh and ready to go for playoff time. So then you could talk about, oh, well, what about this? But for right now, I mean, Kruger is still doing it, 230 yards in a loss, and still impressive. So, I mean, they don't have every single weapon, but hopefully down the line when they do, they can go back to being what we think St. Michael's can be.
Yeah, hopefully so. That St. Michael's team at full strength is really, really fun to watch. Ryan, your thoughts on the Lutheran South victory over St. Michael's?
I don't want to go back on my pick, but I didn't know who was hurt for St. Michael's. I didn't know what was going on. And I think I said that last week. I was like, barring anybody that got hurt, that I felt like that'd be like a game changer, which I do think there were game changers.
No take backs.
I know. I'll take my loss. Okay. I'll take my loss. St. Michael's being 0-2 this year is definitely something I didn't think that was going to happen going into the season. But I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and say that whatever, but it is very sad that St. Michael's has some of these players that are, that have gotten hurt throughout the season so far. But I'm not going to take anything away from Lutheran South. Lutheran South,
No,
that's still a
yeah.
great win. That's super impressive. Wesley Willingham and everybody else in that Lutheran South offense is just very impressive. And beating a team like St. Michael's, even with a couple guys out, there's still 19 other players that start for this team that are still pose a threat week in and week out for St. Michael's. So that's still a very impressive win for Lutheran South. I'll say that I'm very upset that St. Michael's has not stayed healthy this year so far.
I mean,
Yeah.
I want to say, like, having Jason Stokes out, who was going to replace Joe Moreland of just being that versatile athlete, and then Xander Romero out for both 6 weeks, probably, the rumor is. So that's interesting. Having other guys injured, still banged up, the injuries will slowly fade away. But, I should definitely give credit to Lutheran South. They deserve it. And it's going to be interesting to see come district time how they perform, and if they give like Fort Bend or Second Baptist some trouble for that second or first spot in that district.
That would be interesting. I think the division is going to benefit from a good Lutheran South this year, and I hope they can perform up to expectations following this game. So congratulations to Lutheran South and best of luck moving forward. But that actually concludes our game recaps from last week. And now we get into the fun stuff, the meat and potatoes, the games of the week for the week 3. 5 of those will have commentary, starting with Fort Worth Nolan versus Houston St. Thomas at the Star. Nolan comes into the game 1-1. St. Thomas is 2-0. The spread favors Nolan -7.5. Nolan comes in off of a loss at the hands of College Station after drumming Fort Worth All Saints, where Cole Matsuda and Antonio Hall proved to be stars. St. Thomas enters 2-0 after comfortable wins versus St. John's and Lumberton. The Eagles boast an electric offense with the likes of Dante Lewis, Luke Edgecombe, Schaefer Henderson, and Johan Cardenas. I think this game's going to be a barn burner. I think it's going to be offense. I think whatever the over-under is set at, you need to take the over. I mean, I think both teams are going to score a crazy amount. I think ultimately St. Thomas is going to come out on top here. Give me the Eagles. I don't like picking against Nolan here after what happened first week. I think Cole Matsuda, Antonio Hall, and that team are a lot better. I love Coach KJ Williams. I think they're going to be good in D1. I have to take St. Thomas here with how well Williams has been performing, what I saw out of Luke Edgecombe and Schaefer Henderson. Walker, your thoughts on Fort Worth Nolan versus St. Thomas?
I mean, I think I'm going to have to go with you on this one. I think St. Thomas, looks like is really dominant at this point in the season. Like they're firing on all cylinders these past 2 weeks. And not saying that Nolan is not, very strong performance week 1 and losing to a better team in College Station, but gets them prepared for having a tough opponent in this one with St. Thomas. But I mean, Dante Lewis looks elite right now, really, really impressive. And having all the weapons he has and the linebacker core and the DBs with Grant Stewart, I mean, St. Thomas looks really, really good in this one. But hey, if we know anything about Nolan Catholics, they love that chip on their shoulder, and they're going to come ready to play.
Okay, Ryan, you know the rule, and 2 of us are already on the same side of a game. You know what you have to do now, so.
I can't, y'all. I can't.
Oh,
I can't. No, I want to give a shout out to Matsuda and Antonio Hall. I literally said that is my favorite combo. And losing to College Station last week, I mean, although I picked that as like the game as College Station to win, that's nothing against Nolan. That's just College Station. But I will say that like Nolan is just a team that's going to be strong this year. They're going to be very effective. With the All Saints win, I'm very I'm already sitting there kind of thinking to myself that's a very good win. But when it comes down to it, St. Thomas has posed that they're going to be a strong contender this year. They absolutely wiped St. John's. They go in and beat a UIL 4A team by is that 18 points if I'm not mistaken. They beat Lumberton by 18. I think Houston St. Thomas just kind of shows you that they're going to go out a little bit stronger in this game. I have Houston St. Thomas as well. But this will be interesting. The Star is having some good private school games, y'all. Legacy versus Oak Ridge last week at the Star. This week we got Nolan St. Thomas. I want more private school games to be played at the Star every weekend. We need to advocate for that a little bit more.
I really think we should. I think that's electric. But so, well, now this gives me a reason to be absolutely terrified come Friday, because now I'm gonna have to worry about Nolan winning and absolutely destroying us on Twitter. But that is a problem to wait until then. Moving into the second game, we will cover Munster Sacred Heart versus Shiner St. Paul at Fort Worth Nolan, as this is part of the Catholic Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, Walker.
It definitely is.
I remember I was talking to Coach Walksmith and Shiner this year or this summer whenever I gave them their awards. He's like, "Yeah, we're actually going to be having the Catholic Bowl in Dallas this fall." And I was like, "That sounds electric," and it looks like it's going to be. A 2021 state title rematch. 1-1 Shiner St. Paul will face off against 2-0 Sacred Heart at Fort Worth Nolan on Saturday the 10th. Never mind, not Friday, Saturday. The spread is St. Paul minus 13.5. And honestly, I'm going to have to side with the numbers here. I like St. Paul way too much coming off that big win against TMI. I like them to take another W against Sacred Heart. Give me Shiner St. Paul. Walker, your thoughts?
That's a big pick. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go against Shiner St. Paul, and I'm going to go with Munster Sacred Heart. This might be very, very wild, and it probably is, but Munster Sacred Heart, Ryan Schroeder was one of our award winners last year, underclassman of the year, and he looked really, really good last week. And so I'm excited to see what I need. I'm going to need stats. I'm going to need to see who comes out with this, but I'm just going to go switch it up a little bit and go Munster Sacred Heart in this one.
Interesting. Ryan?
Thank you.
Oh man, Swarzynski has definitely looked good. Let me say that much. I just, I don't. So that's the thing. I don't know who's on the Shiner team this year. I don't truly know who the main guys versus last year. You know, you lose some of the best guys I think to ever play for Shiner. Last year. But am I crazy as well to say that I also think Munster Sacred Heart also gets the win here as well? I think Swarzynski just looks really, really good. Like I think he looks elite. And I think that's where I have Sacred Heart beating St. Paul.
You see, I was supposed to be
I was supposed to back state champions.
I don't know, man. I think me and Walker are right about this game. Although Shiner St. Paul is the back state champions, I think I have to go Sacred Heart.
Listen, I'm the one that went 6-11 last week, so the data says y'all are probably making the right decision. I can't in my right mind pick against St. Paul here. I'm going to have to stick with them. But that is interesting. That's actually not at all what I expected out of this pick. But
I was supposed to be the rebel one, but now I'm worried that I'm totally wrong.
Well, Ryan's got a habit of just like following other people's picks. So
yeah, it's because I go third. It's because I go third. I was like, I don't win any every time.
Almost no matter what Ryan has to do, no matter what Ryan picks, he's almost always following somebody's pick. So we can just pigeonhole him into that. Now we can just say Ryan's following our picks. But that concludes. I will be on the side of Shiner St. Paul. Walker and Ryan will be on the side of Munster Sacred Heart in the Catholic Bowl come Saturday. So moving on to the next game, Second Baptist at Bel Air Episcopal. This appears to be the game that I will be covering come Friday. Episcopal is the 6.5-point favorite according to the Massey ratings. Second Baptist is 1-1 coming off a tough loss to Prestonwood last week, where Episcopal enters also 1-1 after a close loss to Parish. Second Baptist will have junior quarterback Turner Murdoch leading the offense with his favorite target, J.D. Crisp, looking to give him a solid boost. Linebacker Kyle Colmorgan leads the defensive effort, as the Eagles will attempt to stifle a dangerous Episcopal offense led by fellow junior standout Carson Gordon and senior Lane Linebarger. Will they succeed? I don't think so. I think Bel Air simply has too much firepower on both sides of the ball. I mean, they lost to 7 by Parish, the far and away best team in private school, no debate. I just can't pick against Bel Air in the spot. Give me the Knights. Walker?
I'm gonna go with you. I think we have them as the number two team in the state for a reason, and they showed it last week against Parish. I mean, I think though. I think Second Baptist is going to come to play this week. I'm not going to say it's. I think it might be a little closer than people expect, but that defense for Bel Air is going to be stout, and they're going to play really, really good against Second Baptist. And I think it's going to be a tough test for Second Baptist. After, I mean, they had two other ones that were really good, but I mean, this one is going to be very interesting to see, can they rise to the challenge and play, because JD Chris, Turner Murdoch are going to come ready to play, but like, is that defense for Second Baptist going to be able to stop Carson Gordon, Andre Thompson, Lane Linebarger, and others? Like, that's going to be very, very tough to defend.
Yeah, no, that is the question. Ryan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can just chalk it up right here. I think Bel Air is simply just too talented. They beat a what's it called? They beat a Livingston, if I'm not mistaken, a team that's 4A, for UIL 4A. Just pieced them 42-7 first week. Only lost by 7 to Parish, one of the best teams to ever play in private school. If you're really going to tell me right now that Bel Air isn't going to win this game, I think you're crazy. Houston Second Baptist is going to have a great year this year, but you can't tell me that they're going to beat Bel Air Episcopal. I have Bel Air here. I think they have them covering the spread too. I have them covering the 6.5 point spread as well.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to watch Carson Gordon and Lane Linebarger, especially their Bel Air's defense as well. I'm also excited to see Cole Morgan, JD Crisp, and Turner Murdoch. I think there's going to be a lot of athletes on the field. And I think, I don't know, I think Episcopal probably covers that 6.5 point spread, but really who knows? I mean, it's two talented teams. Yeah. So moving into the second to last game, and by far and away my favorite one, Brook Hill at Grace Community, in the most heated rivalry in East Texas. Brook Hill is a 6.5 point favorite. Coming into this game, Grace is 2-0, Brook Hill's 1-1. I'll keep it simple. With Reed Alexander, Nick Stewart, Caleb Wilson, Jamarion Johnson and company, I think this is a new Grace team that is riding the ship. I think Brook Hill is a 6.5 point favorite after what happened against Grapevine Faith is arguably the most egregious error I have ever seen in my 3 years doing this podcast. I think Grace should be a double-digit favorite in this game. I really, really do think that Grace is going to finally, get over this hump of losing to Brook Hill, which is traditionally something that never happens. Grace does not lose to Brook Hill. We've been shaky these past few years, but this is the year that it changes. Give me Grace Community against the Brook Hill School. Walker, your thoughts? I know this isn't your neck of the woods, but I had to throw the game on the sheet because, it's a rivalry that has affected me for a very long time.
You know what? Let's go Ryan next. I want to switch it up a little bit. Ryan, you go with your pick.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and simple, man. Grace. I have Grace right here. I think it's I think I have trust in my fellow co-host, Mr. Wes Tolleson. I think I can ride with that. I think I can ride with Grace, and yeah, I'm gonna have to support Wes on this one. I have to support Division 2 District 2 as well, because if eventually if I hype up your team well enough to be like super hype, and then Legacy just destroys y'all, then it's just gonna look really, really good on Legacy. So I got Grace in this game here against Brook Hill.
I don't really know how to respond to that backhanded compliment, but I'll take all the help I can get. Walker, your thoughts on the battle for East Texas?
1 second.
I see the
you
lights.
Mortal Lock Brook Hill. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop doing this podcast.
See the lights.
If you Mortal Lock Brook Hill, you will never see me on an episode of this again. It will be the end.
One eternity later.
It's been a long time.
So
okay.
For some reason, they don't have a color that I want right now, and it is the color, the orange. I'm going to go with Brook Hill. For some reason, I just feel it today, and you know what I'm in the need for. I need for a W from Brook Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, not non-context TXPS has just already clipped that and put that on social.
You know, uh I believe they have a couple guys that look the part. They're going went down to
Who?
D. They went down to D2.
Name me one of them, Walker.
Von Dawson, Reagan Steele. Those guys are going to be really, really good athletes to beat Tyler Grace again for this year and to show why in East Texas they still reign supreme.
No, no, absolutely not.
You
There is
see it?
no chance that happens. None.
None.
Walker, I opened up to you and told you one of my most vulnerable moments on the drive home from Dallas last week, and it involved losing to Brook Hill. I cannot believe you would do this to me on our own podcast in front of probably 600 viewers.
But
That's cold.
It's called
Dude, this has to be one of the most personal moments ever on the Texas Private School podcast. The time that Walker Lott betrayed Wes Tolleson.
A2 Brute.
But
well,
I guess we'll see. And don't get it twisted. I think the people of Grace are great people. I met them at 707. Some of them, they're great people. They look like a great team. This, I have faith in Brook Hill, but this is a big just to make some content with Wes Tolleson. So
yeah, I figured you knew you would elicit some kind of irrational reaction with the Brook Hill Mortal Lock. So, but I mean, you got it, and I guess we're gonna see come Friday, because Lord knows when it comes to my alma mater, I don't do anything rationally. So we will see how that game goes.
I mean, they have Von Dawson, Jonah McCown looks like the quarterback over there. So I mean, last week they did beat Life Oak Cliff 52-6. I'm guessing Life Oak Cliff is in Oak Cliff, but I know nothing else about that school. So
it'll be interesting. But moving away from that, great. Now I have even more reason to just want to throw up come Friday. Moving into the last game, we're going to cover Grace Prep versus Fort Worth Christian. Fort Worth Christian is a 19.5 point favorite, by far the biggest spread we have on this card. Grace Prep comes into the contest 1-1. Fort Worth Christian is 2-0. Grace Prep has had an odd start to start the season. After losing to Oak Ridge to begin, they bounced back and beat Walker, what does SCS stand for?
Southwest Christian School.
Who did Grace Prep beat last week?
Southwest Christian School.
What was the score of that game?
33-28.
Who did Grace Prep beat last week?
Southwest Christian.
Don't ever pick my mortal rival ever again. I'm gonna hang on to this for a while.
As you should.
So they beat Southwest Christian, as Walker so graciously put it, about 4 times, 33-28 last week. Jalen Talton and Caleb Mathis both are incredible athletes, obviously, and they showed it last week when they beat Southwest Christian 33-28. Fort Worth Christian also has had success to start the season. They drummed a very good Bishop Dunn team 34-19, and with a trio of Hogan Nelson, Jacob Trimble, and Luke Anderson, they look poised to make noise on this season. As for this game, Fort Worth Christian favored by 19.5 is just a crazy number. However, I'm leaning Fort Worth Christian. I wouldn't pick them to cover, but I think they'll win. I think both teams are very good, as I've made evident, but I think Fort Worth Christian is going to be slightly better at this point in the season. Give me Fort Worth Christian, but I would pick Grace Prep to cover if we're talking betting terms. But to make it as clear as possible, I'm picking Fort Worth Christian to win. Walker, your thoughts?
This is actually a really interesting matchup. After Grace Prep beating SES, they're more solid than I thought they were going to be this year. And I mean, all praise towards them and coach over there. And what's crazy is they didn't even really get the ball to Caden Lehue that much too. And he's another dog over there. So, I mean, man, You know what? I think I'll go forward with Christian here. I think that's the better pick, the smarter pick probably, and they have a lot of talent, and I think they'll do good this year. But I mean, Grace Prep, it's hard betting against Jalen Talon, man. That dude can play, and he's gonna keep them in the game probably most of that game. So.
No, he is undoubtedly a dog. Ryan, well, you have a great opportunity not to be able to pick trailer here. Who are you going to go with?
Yeah, I got to be a pick trailer here. I really do like. No, but I like forward Christian. Like I'm a big fan of Trimble and Luke Anderson. I really like this forward Christian team. I think this is actually their year to shine. I've said it that they're going to be that third team to come out of what's called the South. Like the first district in Division II. Like I keep saying that they're going to be that team, and I'm excited to see. I mean, literally that district just keeps getting harder and harder by the day. With Liberty being so much better than they were last year, and Southwest Christian, okay, this is what I'll say. I have forward Christian for this game, but I'm going to pivot for a second. The Southwest Christian Oak Ridge game that's going to happen also this Friday is going to be insane, because let me talk about this. The battle that right now that has gone through the legacy being Oak Ridge, with the Oak Ridge, losing to Grace Prep and Grace Prep beating Southwest Christian. I think this is where you see it all come together. If Oak Ridge defeats Southwest Christian here, I think I'm going to definitively say, because Oak Ridge is a really good team this year, but I'm going to officially say that Legacy could beat Southwest Christian. Legacy would beat Grace Prep. I mean, I think you have so many different alternatives you can say for who beats who out of the situation, but I don't know. Is Southwest Christian going to be one of those three teams that comes out of District 1 in Division 2? I think that's the question now. And if Fort Worth Christian beats Grace Prep, then you beg the question of, well, are they going to take the third place? Is Liberty going to take the second place? Is All Saints still going to take the first place? Lots of if we didn't think coming into this season that there would be enough debate about this district, it has only gotten crazier. So let's just say that.
Yeah, just go ahead and add Oak Ridge to beat Southwest Christian to my card for this Friday. I am actively rooting for the downfall that everything Walker Lott knows and loves. I mean, you have made an enemy for the rest of your days here with that mortal lock.
Good.
I'm not playing around.
Let's go to war, Wes. Let's go to war. Let's make it a good season, man.
I have nothing better to do than burn you to the ground.
I have nothing else better to do as well. So let's do it.
Okay, well, okay, so that, with the conclusion of that is actually the last game that we pick for this week. So that also means that is the end of the episode. Is there anything else that either of you want to add before we get out of here?
Go guard.
Okay, no, we will end the episode with Go Guard. I really want to end right there just so I can remember that for the next few days. I'm acting like I'm going to have any outcome on this game, but we will see come Friday. I have been 1/3 of your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson. Walker Lott and Ryan Schroeder have been themselves. Ryan Schroeder did a better job this week than Walker Lott. We will see you in the next episode. See you later.
3, 2, 1.